Hey guys, Blaze here. Gonna be doing my very first vlog. I'm over here at the Summit House after the Shanghai Major Qualifiers. I actually missed my flight today, unfortunately, but that gives me some extra time to do something like this. Gonna go right into it because I know this is gonna take longer than I plan it to. So just I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about my last month personally in Dota 2. Uh, Starting off with the Summit 4, that was great to be able to be part of that event. A lot of fun, just very high energy. There was so much going on every day, and it was very enjoyable. But despite the laid back environment, it's actually there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and I was probably one of the more stressed people in the house, just trying to like make sure that everything was going right. Because what I was doing during the event was producing as well as observing for the Russian broadcast. So there's a lot going on, even like those few minutes of it to break to get food is you're just rushing to get right back to it because you're handling everything behind the scenes. So that was, like I said, pretty stressful for me, but we got through it. We had a great time, and I think that was a very successful event. It certainly helped that the Virtus Pro team went all the distance all the way to second place, and that allowed obviously the Russian broadcast to have that much more value and made me feel pretty good. As far as interacting with the Russians, Vlad and the guys, they're a lot of fun. Very, like I said, very high energy, and they get very involved in the games there. So yeah, it's a little difficult to observe for them. This is my second time doing it. At Summit 2, I observe the English broadcast. Summit 3, I did get to do the Russian observing, so I had some familiarity with what was going to go down. But yeah, there are of course translation issues. I don't really speak Russian at all, so I just have to keep kind of a mindfulness of what's going on in the game, what I would be talking about as a caster, and of course there are some words that will just be the exact same as far as heroes and items. There's actually a running joke with one of the newer Russian casters where essentially for like 2 days straight he was convinced that I spoke Russian. It was he was trying to out me as a Russian speaker, but I feel like I was able to get some good insight into what they were talking about and covered it pretty well. So I was proud of it. As far as performance goes, overall, it wasn't like perfect. There were definitely plenty of mistakes on my end, but they were relatively negligible. I would actually have to say that although we did have Weapus and Scriff there, and personally I think they probably have significantly more experience as observers. For this event in particular, due to the fact that Scriff and Weapus were jet lagged and coming off of I think their third observing event in a row, I actually felt like I was probably the strongest observer at this particular tournament at the Summit 4. Though I'm sure they could beat the pants off me in home turf. Anything in Europe would be kind of just as difficult for me as it was for them here. Um, Other than that, yeah, Virtus Pro going through. We had like 110,000 viewers for the VP versus Vici on the Russian stream. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, we of course closed it out in style. It was just really great to hang out with everybody, all the players, the teams, and of course all these personalities here. Going into the break between the Summit 4 and the Shanghai Major Qualifiers, I did a little bit, took a holiday over to Phoenix, visited some family that I hadn't seen in almost 2 years actually, and that was really nice. So I got to spend Christmas there. Actually, did get sick over that time period, which, uh, it happens, but it was kind of in between Christmas time and this event, so I getting over it just before I needed to cast was pretty well timed actually. Of course, I didn't get to go to the Mafia Land, but I enjoyed seeing everybody going cutthroat and going full deception. I haven't actually gotten a chance to play Mafia with any of the Dota guys, but I actually think I could be pretty good at it, so hopefully we get to do it at the next event. Moving forward to the Shanghai Major Qualifier, man, that was insanity. It actually was about a 24-hour notice for me personally going to the hub. It was just everything was kind of coming together last minute. All the flights, the invites themselves. So I kind of had to cram on research. It definitely wasn't like I could spend days and days and days figuring out what the teams were going to do. I was every minute I had to spare. I was researching graphs and history between these teams, and I, of course, knew plenty of them. And but there are so many new rosters between the European teams and a lot of Tier Two China teams that are up and coming and have got to show their stuff in this tournament. So, yeah, the game quality overall, I was very thrilled with. We got to see some really, really fun drafts as well as plays, and yeah, in general, I would say like 80% of the games that I got to cast were like far above average as far as game quality. There were a few of them there, especially the last day of China, which was kind of straightforward and maybe a little bit frustrating for some of the viewers because it just kind of history kept repeating itself. But overall, I still feel like we did a good job as far as covering the games and keeping it a little fresh. Some people may prefer the relaxed environment less so than professional ones. Some will be the exact opposite. We kind of had a nice little mix there, but I still think we were trying to figure out the mood and the environment as time went by. I got to have a lot more fun with this event than I usually do casting at home, either solo or just trying to be a little more strict. And I'm going to try to work on that. I think that that's going to be some valuable to bring more entertainment to the stream and make it's all about the fun. It's a video game and we're all here to enjoy ourselves. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I can bring in that regard. The pick diversity for the tournament, Shanghai Major, each region had a huge selection of heroes, and we got to see just about everybody, all the old and new faces, and each region kind of had their own metagames, and it was fun kind of digesting that, going from one to another, and seeing a completely different kind of game, just the tempo there. I think overall, I think LGD was my favorite team to watch draft, but I'm not sure if that makes them anywhere near the strongest because the playstyle of China, I think, is going to struggle against Europeans. So LGD, although they look really strong in the Shanghai Major Qualifier, may not do so hot in Starladder just because of their tempo. It's going to be on RTK and Siler to really speed up the tempo of the game and get heroes that come online sooner. But enough about that. Overall, really great event across the board. There were some complaints on Reddit and such, but I personally fared pretty well in that regard. Thank you guys so much for your support. I mean, I was grinning ear to ear just seeing all the love poured out, and it was very overwhelming because like this is literally the second time that I've gotten any real notoriety on Reddit in a particular thread, and the last time 2 years ago was disastrous. It was one of my worst periods as a caster, and I was still developing a lot, and the it just it was not good. So reflecting from 200, 300 comments of flame, and then 2 years later now getting just as much of an outpouring of positivity, I really do appreciate that. That was an absolute blast. Do want to say that, of course, this is going to be just how things go, but I think that people will rely a little bit too heavily on the anonymity of the internet, especially when they're flaming people. Specifically referencing Llama, she may still be a little too young of a caster as far as going to live events consistently, and this kind of environment where like it's actually really difficult to find timing to speak when you have 3 or 4 people in a single cast. It's very difficult to make sure that what you have to say is always relevant and always with the right time in that dynamic. So it was a hard casting environment, especially for somebody that's kind of a little bit newer to it. And just if a comment is already said about somebody that's tearing somebody down or flaming, you feel free if you want to upvote or downvote it, but you don't need to comment that exact comment again in just an even more hurtful way. Just leave it one at a time. Some feedback, some constructive criticism. It's always valuable, but you don't have to ride people that hard. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents on that because I've certainly been there, and it can be very brutal. Moving forward, what is next? Now that Shanghai Major qualifiers are over, of course, we've got this lovely little like 2 month gap until the actual major. So there's going to be a star ladder action that a lot of the BTS guys are going to cover. I'm probably not going to be casting for a couple weeks here. BTS Americas looks promising as far as some co-casting opportunities with Coddle Guy, so that should be fun. I'm actually just now ordering some new hardware, so hopefully some higher quality headsets that you can hear my voice like this instead of in a tin can. And I'll work on the studio at home a little bit and see if I can freshen that up. So yeah, we're gonna be having that fixed up in about a week. I'm kind of debating about adding a soundboard app to a tablet and trying to see what I can do with that. If I'm ever caught solo casting, maybe you can hear like Admiral Akbar saying it's a trap. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. I just throwing out ideas here. I'm trying to kind of innovate on my casting style a little bit. I like what I was able to bring to the Shanghai Major Qualifier, but it's not always going to work in different casting duos and such. So yeah, I'm still trying to think of For example, I'm trying to improve my excitement, or not necessarily, I always have excitement personally, but I have trouble expressing it. So I'm going to try to improve my expression of excitement and the hype that I can bring, as well as a few other things I do want to work on and improve. You guys did leave me a few comments that were very helpful in terms of constructive criticism, but if you guys have anything else to share, then please feel free to tweet that at me or email that at me as well. Beyond that, so yeah, not really sure. Maybe I'll do some streaming, either with a team or with friends. I could do guides for YouTube. I'm still trying to play around with some ideas as far as what I want to do with some free time that I have picked up here and there. But that's going to be coming up in the future. Hopefully, you guys will be able to tune into my broadcast in the very near future. I thank you guys so much for checking out this vlog. Again, my very first time at it, but I figured, what the hell. So, yeah, this is Blaze, David Blaze Dillon at BlazeCasting on Twitter mostly. And if you want to, you probably already follow me if you do the Twitter stuff since you're watching this right now. Anyways, thank you once again for your support. Send me some feedback, your thoughts on things moving forward. I really hope to be able to broadcast for you guys again soon.